serving you. I'm Tina Beth Pina right here at BMCC.
And I'm Ari Goldberg. Here's what we got for you this month. A 68-year-old graduates valedictorian, a drone class being taught to young journalism students, and plenty more. But first,
New York City is the dance capital of the United States, and the CUNY Dance Initiative is another reason why. Let's take a look.
The CUNY Dance Initiative is a remarkable program that opens the doors of CUNY campuses across the 5 boroughs to professional choreographers and dance companies that are based in New York City. We're a residency program, which means we offer rehearsal time and performance opportunities to these New York City artists.
I think it's beyond fabulous to me because it's so expensive, all these studio rentals, and their help is enormous.
It helped us to have a space where you can be so creative, no rushing, developing your ideas.
1, 2, 3.
Artists also get involved with the students and the community through workshops, demonstrations, and other projects tailored for the specific campus. So the residency is a win-win for the artist and for the campuses.
I just got to teach for Queensborough College, which was really incredible, and it was such a great group of kids. I really enjoyed teaching them, and the studio is beautiful at Queensborough, and I'd never been there before, so it was really a really wonderful surprise.
When we began, we didn't really expect that we would be where we are now, 5 years later. We've offered residencies to over 130 artists. We have given them 6,000 hours of studio and stage time. Many of the artists that we support, they take the project that we gave them the space to begin, and they take it on to other stages. It goes to Jacob's Pillow, it goes to the Joyce, and then projects tour nationally and internationally.
As a result of the CDI program and being able to bring Rising to the Tap to life, we now have amazing documentation of the piece, and we now have interest for a potential tour.
See, dancing is a language that helps you speak to the world about whatever it is that you're going through. You got problems at school, you dance it out.
The CUNY Dance Initiative recently celebrated their 5th anniversary by having a dance fest at Baruch College's Performing Arts Center. It showcased a sampling of artists who have come through their doors and showed the creativity of these New York choreographers and dance companies.
Flamenco needs these kind of festivals because people doesn't know what's flamenco. So CUNY is the perfect platform, I think, to show a little bit, like a candy, and then grab them to follow this art.
I think dance offers a way for people to see and experience art and connect to their bodies in a way that other art forms may not. And especially with many of the choreographers that we present, who are from a variety of cultural backgrounds, a variety of perspectives, they offer something to an audience member where they can say, oh, it was just so amazing for me to see this on stage.
You can go to these exciting dance performances on many CUNY campuses. It's great dance at a modest price or even free. Go to cuny.edu/dance initiative to find out about what's happening next month.
When you think of women on motorcycles, what comes to mind? A woman in the back holding a guy's waist, or a woman in front steering the machine herself? Abby Ashola spoke to one CUNY professor who uncovered a history of female bikers in the driver's seat.
Hollister, California, July 1947. Motorcyclists from near and far flocked to the Gypsy Tour motorcycle rally to converge, race, and celebrate. If we let the media tell it, the event was pandemonium, havoc, terrorism. Many say the coverage was sensationalized and sparked the birth of the motorcycle outlaw.
Before that, men and women were both riding motorcycles. They were involved in the war efforts in World War II, riding motorcycles. Women on the home front riding motorcycles as a way to save fuel. But, you know, there was kind of a shift in terms of a national scare about these small town invasions by hordes of motorcyclists. And the media really latched onto it. But really what I saw is that the women were largely erased as active agents and were sort of firmly placed on the back of the motorcycle. I'm Sarah Hoyland. I'm an assistant professor at Ostos Community College.
For over a decade, Hoyland has been dedicated to learning more about the role of women in motorcycle clubs. To further her research, she took a trip to Hollister and discovered hidden history from the event, including several rare photos of women who attended, wearing patches typically allotted to men who ride in packs. Think Hell's Angels. Such insignia likely means these women were a motorcycle club themselves.
You know, when I saw the patches on their backs, this was a huge indication to me that I was coming upon something new. These old filing cabinets were full of photographs that kind of expanded the story of Hollister. And one that showed, you know, a robust group of women wearing a patch with motorcycles and arms draped around sailors, and just having a good time.
It's a far cry from how women in motorcycle culture have been depicted in popular culture as a result of the media's portrayal of Hollister.
Do you want something?
Take, for example, the 1953 film, The Wild One, starring Marlon Brando.
How important is The Wild One to the history of women on bikes?
So Stanley Kramer took the events that were largely reproduced in the San Francisco Chronicle, which is kind of this exaggerated story about Hollister. And what ends up happening in that film is that women become completely erased, right? So the types of women that we see in The Wild One are the innocent, blonde, very white. And so Kathy, right, becomes sort of the picture of the woman who's falling for the bad boy biker.
Picnic, man, you are too square. I have to straighten you out.
Women continued to be portrayed as props in countless biker films released all the way into the 1970s.
It's kind of like this good girl gone to the bad side, meet the debutante in a leather skirt. But then a few come out, right, where women are central, and they're interesting, right, for several reasons. But the language in which these women are used are kitten on wheels with her bike, her boots, and bikini.
Wow.
Right? So, you know, these highly sexualized images of women.
Hoyland's interest in the motorcycle world first came when she married a biker and noticed how women in the subculture were treated and written about. During her time as a doctoral student, she decided to take on the topic for her thesis. Her goal is to expand the narrative in her upcoming book titled Righteous Sisterhood: Constructing a Feminist Biker Identity in a Misogynist Subculture. She recently won the coveted Mellon ACLS Fellowship to complete the project, which largely focuses on a women's motorcycle club based in Florida who operate anonymously due to the stigma many patched members face.
They've negotiated respect. And I would say that among many of these kind of hardcore bikers, they are considered righteous sisters.
Abby Ashola for Urban U.
The miniskirt mob, I think, is one of both of our favorites. And you know, their catchphrase is, they're hog-straddling female animals on the prowl.
Oh my God.
One of our very own CUNY TV interns, Sonia Colon, produced and edited this next piece. It's a portrait of one of her fellow interns, Anthony Sewell from City Tech.
I'm Anthony Sewell, I'm 32 years old, and I'm studying advertising design at City Tech CUNY. I originally came to City Tech with the idea of doing graphic design. I like telling stories. I also like working with video. I figured, why not combine the skills of selling and my design skills at City Tech CUNY. Coming back as an older student, it's good and it can be bad. The stakes are higher. You know, I got rent to make. You know, I noticed that the older I get, the less energy I'm gonna have. I grew up in foster care for the most part, all up until 18. That's like when I went into college. I was attending Polytechnic Institute, in Brooklyn, which is now NYU. I went there for 2 years. Administrative Children's Services, they were paying for school, and then they had a bureaucratic turnover, so they were no longer able to pay for school. One day I was 18 years old, you know, going to school. Next thing you know, I'm doing 10 years in sales. So there's been like challenges. I look at my week and I get overwhelmed because on any given day I can be at work, school, therapy, AA. Some days I do all of those things. I've had to draw a lot of boundaries in my professional and personal life to do this. I have projects and I have partners, so I have to show up. I don't want to like not show up and let people down. There's moments where even though you're doing things for yourself, you're still like, I don't have time for myself. I knew by going back to school, I could live that life. You know, certain freedoms would be available to me. I'm gonna try and get a job within the advertising, if not TV sector. I'll never be rich or anything like that, but I'll be doing something that makes me happy and that I feel good about at the end of the day, and I feel confident in moving into the future.
The tools that journalists use are constantly evolving, and the Craig Newmark School of Journalism is evolving right along with them. Andrew Falzone went to learn about a class that's teaching journalists to use drones.
It was just fun, like to start it up and hear them. It's like getting behind your car for the first time. You get to turn on the engine, you're like, oh, okay, I'm in control.
Toussaint Campbell was one of about 20 students that we met at Calvert-Vaux Airfield in Brooklyn. It was their first time flying their drones.
You start it up and you hear the motor and it's just going up and you're like, okay, getting the hang of the controls, feeling it out.
Drones come in different shapes and sizes, but most of them look like this: a quadcopter with 4 propellers to provide extra stability in flight. Students got comfortable with setting up, launching, and landing their drones. They also learned some techniques for getting the video they'd need to get the job done after graduating.
So we teach how to fly the drone, how to get the basic shots that you would need as a journalist. But more important than that are the ethical issues, which are still being worked out, right? There are laws, there are regulations about where you can fly and where you can't fly. But as a journalist, you have to balance those with privacy concerns, with nuisance concerns, and the general stigma that drones have right now.
Now, in order to learn how to fly a drone like this one, students are spending time in the field, but they also need to pass an FAA exam to get their license, and so that means time spent in the classroom. The 5-week course actually starts in the classroom, where students learn about the FAA's drone rules. They need to be able to interpret complicated airspace maps like these, known in the industry as sectional charts. They also cover topics like weather, airport operations, emergency procedures, and pre-flight checklists.
It's a contrast. So the drones are really easy to fly. You saw it today. It's the first time all of these students have flown a drone, and they all did it. They went up, they circled, they came back, and they landed. It's pretty easy to fly a drone. What's hard is understanding when and where you can fly a drone, where it's legal, how high you can go, what you can do. And that's what we study in the classroom. So it's a balance between learning how to fly it and knowing when and where to fly it.
And students like Stephanie Chukuma know the class is time well spent, knowing they'll be able to capture the same images they see as part of regular news coverage.
It's just amazing, and it really makes it come alive, you know? It's allowing people to see things that we necessarily didn't see before in footage, you know? So it's pretty captivating.
I'm Andrew Falzone for Urban U on CUNY TV.
We don't exactly think of New York City as a bastion of wildlife, but at Kingsborough Community College, where its campus is surrounded by water on 3 sides, there's plenty of opportunities for students to go out and study wildlife in the field.
The urban landscapes are not conducive to nature study, so these kids learn lessons: don't go out alone, don't wander into the bushes, don't pick something up off the ground. You've got to go poke something gross and pick it up and see what it does and explore it. And that curiosity can lead to, I think, life-changing career changes. So many kids who do science well don't even realize they can do it.
Ecologist Christina Colon is a big believer in experiential learning because she comes from a hands-on background from her early work at the Bronx Zoo, instead of just in a classroom setting. And at Kingsborough Community College, she's been able to give students science opportunities out in the field that they don't get in most community colleges.
I don't see that happening a lot. I think funding cuts, potential for lawsuits, and all those things around the country have made schools decide to keep kids indoors, keep students indoors. So if they do a simulation in a lab, they might learn the concept. If they go out into the field and work with real scientists who are doing real data collection on a global project or a nationwide project, now they are citizen scientists, and they can take that to the interview. They can take that to the job recruiter, and their part was just as important as anybody else's.
In practice, being citizen scientists means involving students in her work. For instance, Dr. Colon is currently working on studying the local populations of horseshoe crabs. It's a vital animal in the biomedical field, as its blood is used to detect contamination in medical equipment. But as important as they are, it's not just lip service getting inexperienced students involved. They are indeed a vital part of the project.
We have horseshoe crabs that come ashore and spawn on our campus, so we can go right down to the water's edge. After the adults are finished with their spawning peaks, I go out with my students and we collect samples of sand all along the beach and bring it back into the laboratory and look for those eggs. And that's very labor intensive, but the students really love it because we're going to the beach. And they come into the lab and they get to see what was in those sand samples.
Quite simply, without the students, there just wouldn't be enough manpower to sort through all the samples, to count all the eggs, to keep track of the vital horseshoe crabs. She has the same trust in her students when it comes to her research on another animal you wouldn't normally think of in an urban setting: New York City's coyote population.
I will give them a flash drive with 10,000 photographs of different animals in a kind of a dim forested area, and if they have good eyesight, they can tell me, oh yeah, there was 4 raccoons in that picture, and then there was a coyote that came by, and the next picture it was the same coyote, and all of that can be put into a database that is priceless for the scientists who then take that data to the next level, and they will problem solve in ways that scientists are sometimes trained not to problem solve in because we're trained to do things a certain way, and they will come up with fantastic data.
For Colon, being a citizen scientist is a form of civic engagement. Just because you grew up surrounded by concrete doesn't mean you can't explore the wildlife hiding in your city.
Once they learn that skill set, becoming a scientist is not necessarily any more difficult than becoming an expert in anything else. When I didn't believe I could become a scientist, and then suddenly I had a PhD and I realized, wow, I'm actually a scientist, and this is a skill set that I could translate, that I could teach, and that's one of the things I do at Kingsborough.
With the citizen scientists here at Kingsborough Community College, where from crabs to coyotes in New York City, science is for everybody. I'm Ari Goldberg for Urban U.
If you ever wanted to master the art of photography, now you can at Kingsborough Community College. Abby Ashola has a story in this edition of Who Runs It?
Photography, to me, is about memory. It's about how we understand memory. It's a container of memory. We're sort of swimming in this, visual culture of photographs that we're generating. It's a really exciting time to be teaching. So I'll shoot at f8, same kind of picture here, and you'll see that outside is a little bit brighter.
I'm Abby Ashola here at the Kingsborough Community College Photography Studio. On this edition of Who Runs It, meet Professor Tommy Mintz.
I teach digital photography, black and white, film photography. I'm also the faculty advisor to the photography club.
In Mintz's digital photography class, students learn to shoot on professional cameras and edit their work using industry standard software. He also guides students looking to do more experimental projects through the school's photography club. It's a luxury that includes access to shooting with film cameras and developing work inside the college's very own darkroom.
Students appreciate the tactile quality that they experience in the darkroom, working with the physicality of chemicals and paper. There's something about watching it slowly appear that's very meditative. And then I also have people that are finding old negatives from like grandparents and stuff and bringing those in, and we're able to make prints of that too, which is really cool. So that's the kind of thing that we do in Photo Club. We don't do the whole photo class. My favorite part of teaching photography at Kingsborough in particular is the wide range of students that are here. So you have students that have a lifetime of experience coming back to college in the same class as students that are fresh out of high school. And these different points in life, people have different ideas and information that they can share with one another in an art class. That's especially powerful.
And while he's teaching the craft, he's also engaging in photography on his own terms. Most recently, he created digital collages using photos he's taken in areas in Manhattan that have changed radically. The series was on display at the Hudson Guild Gallery, a full circle moment for the Manhattan native who found photography as a young student in the city.
I definitely had a camera for as long as I can remember. I had a disc camera that I remember like saving money to get the film and then develop the film and waiting for the film to come back. Children's Aid Society in Greenwich Village had a darkroom and there were after-school classes. I took photography one year and then the next year I was asked to assistant teach. I don't think I've turned back since then. I mean, it's sort of something that has just been part of my approach to the world. At a certain point, the camera, if you don't have it on you, you almost feel like you're not fully dressed. It's a funny thing.
Abby Ashola for Urban U.
55,000 students graduated from CUNY this year, which is an incredible number. One of the more incredible stories is Dorothea Levy DeSecoli, who graduated Borough of Manhattan Community College valedictorian at 68 years old.
My name is Dorothea Levy DeSecoli. I'm 68 years old. I feel much younger. I had difficulties during my first grade year. And I guess that the teacher I had did not recognize these problems. Imagine 60 years ago, no one spoke, I think, about learning disabilities. Her verdict was that I was not going to be able to finish high school. And that set in deep inside me. So I said, I will finish high school, but that's it. Then I will start working, and I will never go to college because I won't be able to make it.
60 years later, not only did Dorothea make it, she was valedictorian of her class and was asked to speak on graduation day, which happened right after our interview.
I want to prove to myself that this afternoon, when I am talking to this immense audience, I will not feel as scared to open my mouth as I did 60 years ago. So they asked me if I would be needing a step stool today. And I said, no. I grew taller at BMCC. I'm glad they left one anyway. My parents escaped Nazi Germany. I left Argentina because of the repression. I moved to Venezuela, where my 3 children were born. And I left Venezuela with my daughter and my 2 grandchildren because of the dire situation there.
After starting over in so many countries, it was finally Dorothea's chance to get back to her education. But Dorothea recalled her first day at BMCC not being easy.
My daughter came with me up until the doors at BMCC on Chambers Street. When I saw the amount of students walking in, everyone with a sense of purpose, of course I was extremely scared and insecure. And I said, I can't make it. And so she told me, this is the United States of America, you have a voice. Each one of you, my classmates, impressed me with your empathy, your kindness, your openness. Not a single one of you asked me, what are you doing here? Or just, how old are you? My 3 children studied, 2 of them in the United States and 1 in Europe, at very distinguished institutions. And they were so happy to hear the amazing experience that I had at BMCC. There's 2 secrets though: hard work and determination. And if you do not have people right next to you that are willing to support you, contact me. Don't let age be your cage, is what I say. I want to keep on learning, but not only from books and professors and academia, but from other people, from classmates, from human beings. The day I stop learning, I won't be alive anymore.
For Urban U, I'm Maria Vamy.
That's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu or check out our Urban U Facebook page.
That's all for this month. See you next time.
Bye.